The Manhattan skyline glimmered through the tall glass windows of Le Jardin Bleu, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. Soft jazz hummed in the background. Glasses clinked, and servers moved gracefully between tables. At the corner, under a cascade of golden light, sat Ethan Cole, 34, impeccably dressed, with the kind of quiet confidence that came from running a billion-dollar investment firm. But tonight, there was something different about him. He wasn't here for a deal, a merger, or a power dinner. He was here for a blind date. It was his sister, Harper, who had convinced him. "You work too much," she'd said. "You need someone who looks at you like you're more than a headline in Forbes." So here he was. Ethan glanced at his Rolex. 7 p.m. sharp. The table was perfect. 2 champagne flutes, a candle flickering gently, and a bouquet of tulips his assistant had prearranged. He'd even taken the time to dress down. Open collar, navy suit, no tie. 7:15 p.m. Still no sign of her. He scrolled through his phone, rechecking the text from Harper's friend. Her name's Lily. Sweet, kind, and she bakes cupcakes for a living. Give her a chance. Cupcakes that had made him smile. Someone simple and down to earth. Not another socialite or heiress. 7:25 p.m. He stirred his water absently, watching the condensation drip down the glass. Around him, laughter filled the room. Couples leaning close, eyes shining. But his seat across remained empty. When the waiter came to ask if he'd like to order, Ethan gave a polite smile. Not yet. She might still show. The waiter nodded sympathetically. He'd seen this before. 7:45 p.m. Ethan sighed and leaned back. Maybe it was foolish to think this would be different. Maybe Lily had looked him up and decided not to come. After all, the internet painted him as an ice-hearted billionaire, all logic, no warmth. He was about to signal the waiter for the check when a small voice piped up beside him. "Mister, are you Ethan?" Ethan turned, startled. Standing beside him was a little girl, no older than 6, with big brown eyes, curly hair tied with a pink ribbon, and a red balloon clutched in her hand. "Yes, I am," he said gently, lowering his voice. "And who might you be?" The girl smiled shyly. "I'm Maddie. Mommy said to tell you she's sorry she's late. She's parking the car." Ethan blinked, taken aback. "Mommy?" Maddie nodded enthusiastically. "Uh-huh. She told me to come find a very nice man sitting all alone. That's you, right?" A laugh escaped him before he could stop it. It was the first genuine one all evening. "I guess that's me," he said, smiling. "Would you like to sit while we wait for your mom?" Her eyes widened. "Really? Can I?" "Of course." He pulled out the chair for her, the one meant for her mother. Maddie climbed up, legs dangling, balloon bobbing above her head. "Mommy says we don't keep people waiting," she said solemnly, "even if the car is being silly." Ethan chuckled again. "Sounds like your mommy's got good manners." "She says manners are free, but they make people rich inside." Something about that line made Ethan's chest tighten. The innocence, the warmth, it felt foreign but welcome. They chatted while waiting. Maddie told him about her school, her cat named Waffles, and how her mommy made the world's best chocolate chip cookies. "Do you help her bake?" Ethan asked. "Sometimes, but Mommy says I'm better at taste testing." He smiled, utterly charmed. It wasn't often someone disarmed him so effortlessly, especially a 6-year-old. Then, suddenly, he heard hurried footsteps. A woman rushed toward their table, hair tumbling out a messy bun, cheeks flushed. She wore a simple navy dress. Not designer, but elegant in its honesty. "Maddie," she whispered urgently, kneeling beside her. "You can't just run off in a place like this." Maddie giggled. "But, Mommy, you said to find a man who looked nice and lonely." Ethan rose to his feet. "You must be Lily." The woman looked up, her eyes widening. They were the same deep brown as Maddie's, warm, expressive, a little startled. "Oh, my goodness. Mr. Cole, I'm so sorry. The babysitter canceled last minute, and I—" "Please," he interrupted gently. "Call me Ethan, and it's perfectly fine. Maddie's been wonderful company." Lily's shoulders relaxed slightly, but her embarrassment lingered. "I didn't think you want to meet with my daughter here." He smiled softly. Actually, I can't imagine this evening without her now. Maddie beamed. See, Mommy? He likes me. Lily's laugh came out warm, musical, and in that instant, something shifted in Ethan's chest. The waiter returned, amused at the sight of a billionaire dining with a mother and child. Shall I bring menus of 3? Yes, Ethan said, eyes still on Lily. For 3. As the candle flickered between them, Ethan realized maybe this blind date wasn't a disaster after all. Maybe fate just had a better plan. The waiter had barely set down the menus when Maddie leaned across the table with a whisper loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Mommy, this place has fancy forks. Which one do I use first? Ethan couldn't help the soft laugh that escaped him. Lily, clearly mortified, turned pink. Sweetheart, she murmured, remember what we practiced at home? Outside fork for salad, inside for dinner. Oh, right, Maddie said seriously, and napkin on the lap. She placed the linen across her lap with a kind of exaggerated care that made Ethan's chest warm. He turned to Lily, smiling. I see she's well trained. She teaches me half the time, Lily replied, brushing a loose strand of hair from her cheek. I'm still figuring out this whole raising a mini grown-up thing. You're doing a great job, Ethan said sincerely. Lily's eyes met his for a fleeting second before she looked down at her menu, visibly flustered. The waiter returned for their orders. Ethan asked for steak. Lily chose grilled salmon. Maddie, after serious consideration, decided on a macaroni that sounds too expensive for macaroni. When the waiter left, Ethan leaned in slightly. So, Lily, tell me about the bakery. Harper mentioned you run one downtown. Her face brightened instantly, the kind of light that wasn't about money or fame, but passion. Yes, it's called Sugar and Whisk. It's small, just me, my best friend Nia, and my mom helping on weekends. We started 3 years ago with one oven and a prayer. That sounds brave, Ethan said, genuinely intrigued. Or foolish, Lily said with a small laugh. But it's home. We make everything from scratch, muffins, scones, custom cakes. I specialize in cookies, though. I always say you can tell someone's heart by how they make their cookies. Ethan tilted his head. That's a new philosophy. It's true. Maddie piped in. Mommy says cookies tell secrets. Secrets? He asked, amused. Lily smiled at her daughter's enthusiasm. She means the way you bake reflects your mood. Burnt edges? You were rushing. Too much sugar? You were nervous. Perfectly balanced? You were happy. Ethan chuckled. So, what do your cookies say about you? Lily looked thoughtful for a moment, then answered softly that I'm still learning to trust happiness when it comes knocking. The words lingered between them. Ethan felt something stir, a flicker of empathy. He knew what it was to protect your heart, to work so hard that joy felt like a distraction. He decided to change the subject lightly. And Maddie, do you get paid for all your taste testing? Maddie gasped, eyes wide. Paid? Mommy. Lily rolled her eyes, laughing. Oh, no. Don't get her ideas, Mr. Billionaire. Ethan, he corrected gently. And maybe I should invest in Sugar and Whisk. Seems like a sound business model. A CEO with a professional taster on staff. You wouldn't want to, Lily said teasingly. Our profit margin's about the same as your napkin budget. That made Ethan laugh aloud. A real, unguarded laugh that drew glances from nearby tables. It felt strange in the best way, to not care. They talked through dinner, like old friends. Maddie told knock-knock jokes that made Lily groan, but had Ethan laughing so hard, he nearly spilled his wine. Lily shared stories of late-night baking disasters, of delivering wedding cakes in the rain, of trying to keep her tiny dream alive in a city that didn't slow down for anyone. Ethan listened, really listened. It wasn't about spreadsheets or mergers. It was about humanity, about a woman who worked twice as hard for half the reward, but did it with grace. At one point, Maddie yawned and rested her head on Lily's arm. You're tired, baby. Lily whispered. A little, but I don't want to miss dessert. Ethan smiled softly. Dessert is the most important course. I insist we stay. Lily hesitated. Are you sure? I don't want to. Please. I don't often have dinner with such distinguished guests. Maddie perked up. See, Mommy? He likes us. Lily laughed again, shaking her head. You're going to make him regret this, Maddie. But Ethan didn't regret it. Not for a second. When dessert arrived, molten chocolate cake with raspberry drizzle, Ethan noticed how Maddie offered her mother the first bite. Because Mommy always says love tastes sweeter when you share, she said earnestly. It hit Ethan harder than he expected. A simple, childlike truth, one he'd forgotten somewhere between corporate boardrooms and private jets. Lily caught the look in his eyes, her expression softening. She's been my little reminder to stay kind, she said, even when life wasn't. He nodded slowly. I understand that more than you know. They sat in a comfortable silence for a moment, the city glowing outside the window like scattered stars. Then Maddie suddenly gasped. Oh no, it's bedtime. Lily checked her watch. You're right. We should go. She turned to Ethan, looking both grateful and apologetic. Thank you for not running away when you saw us coming. Running away? Ethan repeated, standing to help her with her coat. Lily, I've had plenty of dinners with powerful people, but this is the first one I'll actually remember. She blinked, clearly surprised by his sincerity. That's kind of you to say. He hesitated, then added, Can I see you both again? Maybe it's sugar and whisk this time. Maddie squealed before Lily could answer. Mommy, he wants to come to the bakery. Lily smiled shyly. We'd like that. Outside, as they said goodbye by the restaurant's warm glow, Ethan found himself watching them walk away, Maddie's balloon bobbing against the night sky, Lily's hand holding hers tightly. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something stir that wasn't ambition or duty. It was hope. The following morning, Ethan Cole found himself doing something he hadn't done in years, smiling before his first cup of coffee. He stood by the window of his penthouse. The city sprawled beneath him like a waking giant. Usually, mornings meant conference calls, market updates, and meetings that started before sunrise. But today, his mind wasn't on stocks or strategies. It was on a little girl with a red balloon and her mother with the kindest eyes he'd ever seen. He'd spent most of the night thinking about them, about Lily's laugh, her warmth, her quiet strength, about how natural it felt to sit with them, like he'd been missing something all along and hadn't realized it until now. By 9 a.m., he had made a decision that surprised even him. He told his driver, We're taking a detour this morning. Downtown. There's a bakery I want to visit. The driver, accustomed to Ethan's strict routines, raised an eyebrow but nodded. Sugar and whisk sat tucked between a flower shop and a used bookstore on a charming corner of Greenwich Village. Its window was decorated with pastel cupcakes, handwritten quotes, and a chalkboard sign that read, Life is what you bake it. The bell above the door chimed softly as Ethan stepped inside. The air smelled like vanilla, cinnamon, and comfort, a scent that made the world outside seem to slow down. Behind the counter, Lily was arranging muffins on a tray while Maddie, perched on a stool, drew hearts on napkins with a pink crayon. Neither noticed him at first. Mommy, do you think the man from last night liked our dinner? Maddie asked innocently. Lily smiled as she wiped her hands on her apron. I think he was very kind. But people like him, they don't usually come back. Ethan cleared his throat softly. What if this one did? Lily froze, startled. Maddie squealed. Ethan, you came. She nearly fell off the stool running toward him, and he caught her easily, laughing. Good morning, Miss Taste Tester. Mommy, he called me that again, she giggled. Lily blinked, still processing. Mr. Cole, Ethan, you actually came? I said I would. He replied simply, his tone warm. You didn't think I'd miss out on seeing where the best cookies in New York come from, did you? Lily laughed softly, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Well, I didn't think billionaires had time for flour and sugar. Turns out, he said, glancing around the cozy bakery, I might have been spending my time all wrong. Her eyes met his, and for a moment, neither spoke. The world outside, the honking taxis, the city noise, faded into the background. Maddie, however, had her priorities. Ethan, you have to try Mommy's cookies. The chocolate chip ones are the best. Then that's an order, Ethan said, smiling. "I'll take one." Lily handed him a warm cookie wrapped in wax paper. He took a bite and immediately understood what Maddie meant. It wasn't just good. It was home. "This," he said thoughtfully, "is happiness disguised as dessert." Lily laughed, cheeks pink. "You're too kind." "No," he said, shaking his head. "You're just too modest." He stayed longer than he'd planned, much longer. They talked between customers. He learned that Lily had started the bakery after her husband left, determined to build something steady for Maddie. She'd face eviction notices, loan denials, sleepless nights, but she'd never given up. "I promised her we'd be okay," Lily said softly, watching Maddie serve a cookie to an elderly customer. "Even when I didn't know how we would be." Ethan listened quietly, admiration growing with every word. "You're stronger than most people I know," he said honestly. "You mean richer," she teased lightly. "No," he replied, voice low and sincere. "I mean stronger." Her smile faltered for just a second, touched but uncertain. Compliments from men, like him, usually came with strings. But his eyes, they didn't carry that kind of weight. By noon, the bakery had quieted down. Maddie had settled at a corner table with her crayons, drawing something on a large sheet of paper. Ethan leaned closer, curious. "What are you making, artist?" "A family portrait," Maddie said proudly. He peered at it. There were 3 stick figures, a small girl, a woman with long hair, and a tall man with brown hair and a tie. "That's you," she said, pointing at the tall one. Ethan blinked. "Me?" "Uh-huh. You're holding Mommy's hand." Lily flushed crimson. "Maddie, that's—" "It's beautiful," Ethan said softly, interrupting her. "I think you've got real talent." Maddie beamed and returned to coloring. Lily looked at Ethan, half embarrassed, half touched. "I'm so sorry." She has no filter. "Don't be," he said gently. "It's refreshing." He hesitated, then added, "Would you let me take you both to lunch next week? My treat, and I promise it won't be at a 5-star place." Lily laughed. "If it involves real napkins and food Maddie can pronounce, we'll consider it." "Deal." When he finally left that afternoon, Ethan stepped back onto the busy New York street feeling lighter. The noise, the rush, the skyscrapers, all of it seemed smaller compared to that little bakery's warmth. He pulled out his phone, typing a quick message to his assistant. "Find out what Sugar and Whisk needs for expansion permits." Quietly, he smiled to himself, pocketing the phone. It wasn't about business this time. It was about someone real. As he climbed into his car, Maddie's drawing still fresh in his mind, he realized that maybe, just maybe, life had decided to serve him the sweetest surprise of all. A week later, Sugar and Whisk was busier than usual. The aroma of vanilla and caramel filled the air, and a line snaked out the door. Word had spread. A famous billionaire had been spotted at the cozy little bakery in Greenwich Village. At first, Lily laughed it off. "They probably mistook you for someone important," she joked Ethan the day before. But deep down, she knew people talked. Some with curiosity, others with envy. Still, business was booming, and she wasn't complaining. She'd woken up that morning feeling optimistic, until she saw the envelope on her counter. It was from the City Health Department. Lily tore it open, her heart pounding. The words blurred together, but the message was clear. "Your premises have been flagged for reinspection due to a complaint regarding code compliance." Her stomach dropped. They'd had an inspection just 2 months ago. Spotless. Who would file a complaint now? Her best friend and part-time baker, Nia, frowned when she read the notice. "This doesn't make sense. We passed everything last time." "It could ruin us," Lily whispered. "If they find anything wrong, we could be shut down for weeks." Nia's voice softened. "You think this is about Ethan?" Lily sighed. "People love drama. Maybe someone doesn't like seeing me happy." Later that afternoon, as she tried to focus on frosting cupcakes, the bell above the door chimed. Maddie squealed from behind the counter. "Ethan!" Ethan walked in, his presence as calm and grounded as ever, dressed down in jeans and a gray sweater. He handed Maddie a paper bag. "Morning, taste tester." I brought croissants from that cafe you told me about. Maddie gasped. The one with the chocolate in the middle? Only the best of my favorite baker, he said, winking. Lily smiled, despite the knot in her chest. You're going to spoil her, Ethan. That's the plan, he replied easily. But his smile faded when he noticed her tense shoulders. Everything okay? She hesitated. It's just a little issue. Probably nothing. Doesn't look like nothing, he said quietly. Lily sighed and handed him the notice. Ethan read it carefully, his expression hardening. A complaint? About you? That's ridiculous. I know, she said softly. But we can't afford to close, even for a few days. Rent's due next week. He looked at her, the woman who worked 16-hour days, and still smiled through exhaustion. Something inside him tightened. Let me handle this, he said firmly. Ethan, no, Lily protested. You've already done too much. I don't want charity. It's not charity, he said gently. It's what people do when they care. Her breath caught, but before she could respond, Maddie tugged on her sleeve. Mommy, did we do something bad? Lily knelt down immediately. No, sweetheart, we didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes people make mistakes. Then why are you sad? Ethan crouched beside them, his voice soft. Your mommy's just worried. But I promise, everything's going to be okay. Maddie's trustful eyes lifted to his. You promise? Cross my heart, Ethan said with a small smile. That evening, after closing, Ethan stayed behind to help Lily clean. He rolled up his sleeves, grabbing a mop, which made her laugh. You, mopping my floor, now I've seen everything. I'm a fast learner, he said, grinning. The laughter helped, until her phone buzzed again. Another email from the health department. The inspection was scheduled for tomorrow morning. Panic fluttered in her chest. That's not enough time to prepare. I can't. You can, Ethan said calmly, and I'll be here with you. Ethan, this isn't your fight. Lily, he said quietly, when I was a kid, my mom ran a small bakery in Brooklyn. She worked herself to the bone to keep it open. I know what this means to you. Lily blinked, surprised. I didn't know that. Most people don't. She lost it when I was 12. Couldn't keep up with the bills. He looked around Sugar and Whisk, his eyes soft. Yours feels like what hers used to, full of love. I'm not letting anyone take that from you. Her throat tightened. There was something raw and real in his voice that made her heart ache. Thank you, she whispered. He smiled gently. Don't thank me yet. Let's pass that inspection first. The next morning was a whirlwind. Lily arrived at dawn, scrubbing every corner. Nia triple-checked the equipment. Ethan showed up in jeans and a T-shirt, sleeves rolled up, wiping counters like one of the staff. When the inspector arrived, clipboard in hand, Ethan greeted him politely, without revealing who he was. The man looked around, sniffed the air, checked the refrigeration logs, storage, and fire safety compliance. Everything was spotless. Looks good, he said finally, signing off the form. Whoever filed a complaint was wasting everyone's time. When he left, Lily exhaled so hard she almost laughed. We did it. Ethan smiled. You did it. Maddie, who had been hiding behind the counter with Nia, burst out and hugged her mom. Told you to be okay. Lily scooped her up, laughing through tears. Yes, you did, baby. Then she turned to Ethan, emotion brimming in her voice. I don't know how to thank you. Don't, he said softly. Just keep baking. That's thanks enough. That night, after closing, Lily found something tucked under the register, a small white envelope with her name on it. Inside was a note in Ethan's elegant handwriting. For the new oven you said you've been dreaming about. Consider an investment, not in cookies, but in hope. And beneath the note was a check. Lily pressed her lips together, torn between disbelief and gratitude. She looked out the window toward the city lights, whispering softly, maybe happiness doesn't always come the way we expect. The morning after the inspection, Sugar and Whisk felt lighter, as if the walls themselves were breathing again. Sunlight poured through the windows, and laughter drifted from table to table. Customers came and went, many congratulating Lily after hearing she'd passed the inspection. Ethan stopped by mid-morning. carrying a bouquet of white tulips, the same kind that had graced their table on that first night. Lily looked up from the counter, smiling in surprise. "You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to," he said simply. "I remember you said tulips make the world look softer." "You actually listened?" "I always listen," Ethan replied, his tone gentle. Maddie rushed forward, her hands full of flour. "Ethan, Mommy made new cookies today. Want to try them?" "I'd be honored," he said, taking one carefully. "Is this a new recipe?" Hum. Maddie said proudly. "Mommy said it's her fresh start cookie." Ethan laughed softly, biting into it. The cookie was warm, slightly nutty, with a hint of caramel. "Tastes like hope," he murmured. Lily looked up from the espresso machine. "That's exactly what I was going for." After the morning rush, Ethan and Lily sat at a corner table with coffee and pastries. Maddie was coloring quietly nearby, humming a song. Ethan leaned forward, his eyes soft but serious. "Lily, I've been thinking, you have something special here. Something real. I want to help you grow it." She blinked, startled. "Ethan, you've already done more than enough. The oven, the help during the inspection." "That wasn't help," he interrupted kindly. "That was me doing what I should have done long ago, supporting something that matters." Lily hesitated. "You don't owe me anything." "This isn't about owing," he said, his voice low and steady. "It's about believing in you." She stared at him, unsure whether to be touched or terrified. "You want to invest in my bakery?" "Not just invest," Ethan said. "Partner. Expand. Imagine Sugar and Whisk in Midtown, Central Park West, even Boston. You've built something with heart, and I want to help it reach people who've forgotten what that tastes like." Lily laughed softly, shaking her head. "Ethan, I'm not a CEO. I'm a mom who burns cookies when she's tired." "You're also a creator, a dreamer, and a fighter," he said, leaning closer. "Those are the best kind of CEOs." Her lips parted slightly, words caught in her throat. "You really think it'd work?" "I know it can," he said. "And I'll handle all the logistics, the paperwork, the capital, the leases. You just keep making magic." She exhaled slowly, still unsure. "And what do you get out of this?" "Maybe," he said softly, "a chance to be part of something that makes people happy." Her gaze softened, and for a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was full of meaning. Then Maddie broke it with her usual honesty. "Mommy, are you two getting married?" Lily's face turned crimson. "Maddie." Ethan nearly choked on his coffee, but couldn't stop smiling. "You always go straight to the good part, don't you?" Maddie grinned innocently. "You bring Mommy flowers. That's what daddies do in the movies." Lily groaned, covering her face with her hands. "I swear she gets this from cartoons." Ethan chuckled, his gaze softening. "Well, maybe the cartoons are onto something." By afternoon, Lily reluctantly agreed to hear Ethan's plan. He pulled out a tablet and showed her a few mock-ups, potential logos, color palettes, expansion locations. He'd already had his team quietly research viable sites. "You've really been planning this?" she asked, eyes wide. "Since the day I tasted your cookies," he said simply. Her heart skipped a beat. She wasn't used to being seen, truly seen, beyond her struggles and exhaustion. "I don't want to lose myself in this," she whispered. "The bakery is small because that's what I can handle. It's personal. And it'll stay that way," Ethan promised. "I don't want to change it, just give it room to grow." She looked down at the table, tracing the rim of her mug. "You make it sound so easy." "It's not," he said honestly. "But I'll be here, every step." Her eyes lifted, and something unspoken passed between them. A quiet trust forming, fragile but real. 2 weeks later, the new location plans were officially underway. Ethan visited Sugar and Whisk almost daily, not as a billionaire investor, but as a man who found peace in the smell of baked bread and laughter. He helped carry flour sacks, fix a leaky faucet, even sweep the floor, all while pretending not to notice the way Lily's eyes lingered on him when she thought he wasn't looking. One evening, after closing, they stood outside watching Maddie chase fireflies in a small alleyway beside the bakery. "She's growing up fast," Ethan said softly. "Too fast," Lily replied, her tone wistful. Sometimes I wish I could freeze these moments. Maybe some moments don't need to be frozen, he said. Maybe they just need to be lived, fully. She turned to him, smiling faintly. That sounds like something from one of Maddie's bedtime stories. Maybe she's rubbing off on me. Their laughter faded into a quiet stillness, the air thick with something unsaid. Then Ethan spoke again, his voice low. You've changed my life, Lily. You and Maddie. I didn't realize how empty everything felt until you two walked in. Lily's eyes shimmered under the soft streetlight. Ethan, he took a step closer, but before he could say more, Maddie's voice rang out. Mommy, look. Firefly landed on me. The moment broke, gentle and innocent. Lily turned toward her daughter, smiling, but her heart was racing for a different reason now. As Ethan watched the two of them laugh together in the fading light, he knew something for certain. He hadn't just found a business partner. He'd found home. For weeks, Sugar and Whisk thrived like never before. Business doubled. Local newspapers wrote about the little bakery that could, and soon, food bloggers and influencers began to visit. But with attention came whispers. And whispers, when twisted enough, became rumors. One gray Friday morning, Lily was wiping down the counter when her phone buzzed nonstop. Her heart sank as she read the headline splashed across a gossip site. Billionaire Ethan Caldwell's secret lover? The single mom behind his new cafe empire. She froze. The photo attached showed her laughing with Ethan at the bakery, her hand brushing his sleeve. The angle made it look far more intimate than it was. Maddie was at the coloring table, humming softly, unaware of her mother's trembling hands. Oh no, Lily whispered. Just then, her assistant baker, Rosa, walked in holding her own phone. Lily, have you seen this? They're saying you and Ethan are... I know. Lily cut in, voice tight. It's nonsense. But once something's online. She trailed off, gripping the counter. That afternoon, the bakery's once friendly atmosphere shifted. A few regulars whispered behind their cups. A woman in designer heels snapped a photo of Lily while pretending to text. Even Maddie noticed. Mommy, why are people staring today? Lily knelt down, forcing a smile. They're just curious, sweetheart. Don't worry. But inside, she was breaking. She didn't care about rumors. She'd been judged before. But this time, she had something to lose. Her reputation, her business, and the one man who had started to mean more to her than she dared admit. That evening, Ethan arrived, unaware of the full storm brewing online. He walked in with his usual warmth, but Lily's stiff posture stopped him in his tracks. Hey, he said carefully, you okay? She turned to him, eyes clouded with worry. Did you see it? The article? He sighed. Yeah, I did. It's everywhere, Ethan. They're saying I'm sleeping my way into success, that I'm using you. That's ridiculous. But people believe it, she snapped, voice cracking. You don't understand. I worked years to build this place. I can't let it be destroyed by some tabloid headline. He stepped forward, tone steady. Lily, I'll handle it. I'll issue a statement, talk to Par. No, she said sharply. That'll only make it worse. More attention, more eyes on Maddie. Her breath came unevenly. Maybe we should pause everything. The expansion, the meetings, even us. Ethan froze. Pause us. You've got your world, Ethan, and I've got mine. They don't mix. He shook his head. That's not true. It is, she said softly, her voice trembling. You belong in skyscrapers and boardrooms. I belong here in a bakery with flour on my jeans. That's reality. Ethan looked at her for a long moment, the ache in his chest nearly unbearable. Then he nodded slowly. If that's what you need, I'll respect it. He turned to leave, but at the door he paused. For what it's worth, Lily, I don't care what they say. I know who you are, and so will the world. Someday. When he walked out, the bell above the door sounded softer than ever, almost mournful. Days turned into a blur. Lily buried herself in work, determined to drown out the noise. But without Ethan's calm voice and quiet support, the bakery felt emptier. Even Maddie noticed. "Mommy, why doesn't Ethan visit anymore?" Lily hesitated, forcing a smile. "He's busy with work, sweetie. Can we bake him cookies?" "Maybe Mrs. Cookies." Lily's eyes stung. "Maybe someday," she whispered. Meanwhile, Ethan was in his Manhattan office, unable to focus. He'd tried to stay away out of respect for her wishes, but every night he found himself staring at photos of the bakery, at her smile. His assistant, Daniel, knocked lightly. "Sir, you're due for the investor call." Ethan didn't look up. "Reschedule it." "Sir, you heard me. Reschedule it. All of it." Daniel hesitated, then nodded. Ethan grabbed his coat. It was time to stop hiding behind silence. That evening, Sugar and Whisk was quiet. Most customers had left, and Lily was alone, counting the day's earnings. The door opened. The sound startled her. Ethan stood there, raindrops clinging to his coat, determination in his eyes. "Ethan," she whispered. "What are you?" "I can't stay away," he said simply. "I thought giving you space would help, but all it did was make me realize I don't want space. I want you. Both of you." She stared, stunned. "Ethan, the rumors." "Let them talk," he said firmly. "I'm tired of living by other people's expectations. I used to care about image, status, but none of it matters when I walk into your bakery and smell cinnamon and feel alive." Lily's voice trembled. "Ethan, you can't just walk away from your world." "Watch me." She blinked. "What?" "I sold my controlling shares in Caldwell Industries this morning. I'm keeping enough to live comfortably, but the rest, gone. I'm done with the corporate circus. I want to build something real." "You gave it all up?" "Not all," he said, smiling faintly. "I kept the best thing, the chance to make my own choices." She was speechless. "You're crazy." "Probably," he admitted, "but you're the reason I want to be better." The room went quiet again, except for the soft patter of rain outside. Ethan stepped closer. "I'm not asking for an answer tonight. Just let me stay." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to ask." And for the first time, she reached for his hand. From across the room, a small, sleepy voice murmured, "Mommy? Ethan?" Maddie rubbed her eyes and smiled drowsily. "Did you come back to read bedtime stories?" Ethan smiled, kneeling beside her. "Only if you let me pick the story." Maddie giggled and ran to fetch her book, and Lily watched them, her heart swelling with something she hadn't felt in years, peace. Outside, the rain eased, and the city lights shimmered like scattered stars. The days that followed felt like a slow sunrise, gentle, patient, full of warmth. The storm of rumors gradually faded. The gossip sites found new targets, and Sugar and Whisk became known not for scandal, but for its story. The little bakery that stood strong through it all. Ethan didn't disappear this time. He came every morning, helping with deliveries, tasting new recipes, even folding napkins when business got busy. The billionaire who once sealed deals in marble boardrooms now laughed over spilled coffee and frosting smudges. And somehow, he'd never looked happier. One crisp Saturday morning, Lily found him outside the bakery, helping Maddie draw chalk flowers on the sidewalk. He was covered in pastel colors, his expensive shirt streaked with pink and yellow. "You look like an Easter egg," Lily teased, arms crossed. "Occupational hazard," Ethan said, brushing his hands. The boss insisted. Maddie beamed up at her mother. "Look, Mommy, we made the bakery garden pretty." Lily crouched down, smiling at their colorful chaos. "You did. It's beautiful." "Just like Mommy," Ethan murmured without thinking. Lily froze for half a second, then smiled shyly. "Careful, Caldwell. You're starting to sound poetic." "Maybe I'm learning from the best," he said softly. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, something that felt like home. Later that day, the three of them took a walk in Central Park. The trees were painted in autumn gold, the wind carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts and laughter. Maddie skipped ahead, chasing leaves, while Ethan and Lily walked side by side. "It's strange," she said after a while. "I used to walk here alone, watching couples and thinking love wasn't meant for me. And now," Ethan asked gently, "now, I'm scared to lose it, she admitted. Scared that this is all too good to be true. Ethan stopped and turned to face her. Lily, I've spent years chasing things that looked perfect but felt empty. This, he gestured between them, isn't perfect. It's real. That's what makes it worth everything. She blinked, her eyes glistening. You always know what to say. Not always, he said softly. But with you, I just speak the truth. Before she could reply, Maddie called from ahead. Mommy, Ethan, come see. I found a heart-shaped leaf. They both laughed and hurried forward, their hands brushing together, neither pulling away. Weeks passed, and the bakery expanded into its second location, not a sleek corporate cafe, but a cozy extension near Central Park. The sign read, Sugar and Whisk, home is where the heart bakes. Lily designed it herself. Ethan insisted on hanging the sign. That morning, Maddie wore her official helper apron, twirling between them as they prepared to open the doors. Mommy, are we famous now? She asked. No, sweetheart, Lily said with a smile. We're just lucky. Luckier than most, Ethan added, placing a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. Their eyes met again, a silent promise in the space between flower and sunlight. That evening, after the grand opening, the crowd thinned. The bakery glowed in warm amber light, the smell of vanilla and coffee lingering in the air. Maddie had fallen asleep in the corner, curled up with her stuffed bunny. Ethan stood beside Lily at the counter, both sipping tea in comfortable silence. It's funny, she said softly. The night we met, I almost didn't show up. I know, Ethan replied, smiling faintly. I thought I'd been stood up. And technically you were, she teased. But I guess Maddie fixed that. She did more than fix it, he said quietly. She saved me from a life that looked full but wasn't. Lily turned, her voice barely above a whisper. You really mean that? Every word. He reached into his pocket, his heartbeat quickening. Lily, he began, his tone trembling slightly, you and Maddie turned my world upside down. You taught me that home isn't about money or mansions. It's about laughter over burnt cookies, chalk drawings on the sidewalk, and knowing someone's waiting for you at the end of the day. Her eyes shimmered with tears as he got down on one knee. Ethan, she breathed. I don't have a fancy speech prepared, he said, pulling out a small velvet box. But I do know this. I want to spend every sunrise and every cookie disaster with you. Lily Thompson, will you marry me? Her hands flew to her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. Ethan, Mommy, Maddie's sleepy voice interrupted as she rubbed her eyes. Are you crying? Did Ethan break something? They both laughed through the tears. No, sweetheart, Lily whispered, kneeling down beside her daughter. Ethan's just asking Mommy a very big question. Maddie blinked. Like, what's for dinner? Bigger, Ethan said, smiling. I asked if Mommy would marry me. Maddie's eyes widened. Then she grinned from ear to ear. You mean you'll be my daddy? Ethan's throat tightened. If you'll let me. She jumped into his arms without hesitation. Okay, but only if we get extra cookies every night. Lily laughed through her tears, shaking her head. Deal. Ethan said, still holding Maddie. So, what do you say, Lily? Lily looked at both of them, the man who had turned her fears into hope, and the little girl who had unknowingly introduced love back into her life. I say yes, she whispered. Maddie squealed, clapping her hands. Mommy said yes. Mommy said yes. Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger, simple, elegant, and timeless, just like her. Then he leaned in, and under the soft glow of the bakery lights, they kissed, tender and certain, the kind of kiss that sealed more than a promise. Outside, dawn began to rise, painting the city in gold. The first rays slipped through the bakery windows, touching the words etched above the counter. Love, like baking, takes time, but it's always worth the wait. Lily smiled as Ethan wrapped an arm around her, and Maddie snuggled between them. For the first time in a long time, she didn't just feel lucky, she felt home. A year later, Sugar and Whisk became one of New York's most beloved bakeries. Not because a billionaire owned it, but because a family did. Every morning, customers saw a chalk drawing on the sidewalk, a big heart with 3 initials inside. E plus L plus M. And if you asked who drew it, the little girl with pigtails behind the counter would smile and say proudly, "It's our forever recipe." The scent of freshly baked cookies filled the air as sunlight poured through the wide windows of sugar and whisk. The same bakery that once struggled to survive now glowed with warmth, laughter, and life. Ethan stood behind the counter, wearing a flour-dusted apron that read Official Taste Tester. Lily rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her smile as Maddie sat on a stool, swinging her legs and licking icing off a spoon. "You're supposed to decorate the cupcakes, not eat the decorations," Lily teased. "But Daddy said I'm quality checking." Maddie giggled. Ethan raised his hands in mock surrender. "She's got a point." Lily shook her head, smiling as she slid the last tray into the oven. The golden light caught the wedding band on her finger. Simple, elegant, and perfect. The bell above the door chimed as customers entered, their laughter blending with the sound of the oven timer. And for a moment, Ethan paused, taking it all in. The woman who had turned his lonely world into color. The little girl who had bridged two hearts. The life he never knew he was missing. He looked at Lily and Maddie, his voice soft. "You know what I've realized?" Lily asked, glancing up. "Every good story starts with a little chaos." She smiled. "And end with love?" He leaned over, kissing her cheek. "Always." Maddie wrinkled her nose. You guys are mushy." They laughed, the sound filling the bakery like music. Outside, the morning sun rose over New York City, painting the skyline in honey gold. A chalk drawing on the sidewalk read, "E plus L plus M equals sweetest forever." And for once, Ethan Caldwell, the man who had everything, finally understood what having it all really meant. It wasn't the billions. It wasn't the buildings. It was the laughter, the love, and the little girl who said, "Mommy's sorry she's late." The end. Yellow Heart. A story of second chances, found family, and the kind of love that tastes like home.